Hi, my name is Trey Smith, and this is my YouTube and Odyssey channel, Trey's Myths and Tunes, and this is my show, Trey's Timeless 15 Minutes of Explain. And today's show is about, with no triggers, your peace of mind can't be shot down. Down, down, da 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 da. Last night, the moments my thoughts were drift, encroaching upon a rift. Silence contagious in moments like these, consuming and strengthening my will to appease. The passion that sparked me that terrible night, shocked and persuaded myself to ignite. Thank you, Trey Anastasio, for these lyrics I'm singing on this show. With no triggers, your peace can't be shot. Your peace of mind will be safe and fine as long as you reclaim it from the deceiver's mind control schemes, which can be painful and take years even. But you can do it if you believe in your connection to the Christos and the strength, the power of the Holy Ghost. So it helps to have quiet space. I'm so blessed to have that. But what I was saying when I cut off in the last one is, so this girl, I don't know, she had to go to jail for 2 months and pay a $3,000 fine for complaining about the prince on Facebook or something like that in Thailand. So luckily in the USA we have freedom of speech, and so you got to understand, as what Mark Passio said is certainly accurate, that the belief in kingship is the belief in slavery, and I would add alien rule, because most of the time they're possessed by the dark side, reptilians and other species of aliens. And so removing triggers, it involves the extensive work of what you want to take it to a real deep level, Pierre Sabac's work, which I call the pirate word games. He would say it's the reptilians, but to actually recover your subconscious mind involves reclaiming your programs, your thoughts from the pirate word games. When they hijack concepts, for example, you have to have shelter, but they tell you you have to pay the rent. You have to have food, but they tell you you have to have meat. You have to have a love and sex, but they tell you you have to have a paper marriage certificate. You see, you have to learn how they substitute and how the substitutions cause the triggers in your mind. Not only mind control, but also the triggers. And when there is no gun, or when you can change the content of the bullets to something that's not going to harm you, then you are healed. And when you expose the mind control programs, you'll find mental freedom. When you expose the programs you have within yourself, there can be no dogma, no masters, no slaves, and no problem. Because when you're really awakened, you will not allow that. Okay? Your sovereignty is very important to your heart when you're real to it. When you can feel your heart jump from a trigger, take a deep breath, acknowledge the past, and again, try to use the Toltec recapitulation path if you got the time and effort and discipline to remember what it was that you're supposed to learn from this, and do the breath, and so you can learn to not be triggered. So this man I made the several videos with, I saw him again, I think the night before last. And my newest friend is a woman about almost 20 years older than me in linear time, who is actually one of the first indigo children. Really beautiful spirit. I met at the Whole Foods in Capitola. So, of course, seeing me, he didn't react at all, acted very calm, sat down and clamped onto her energy, and they talked for about 2 hours. And she said, or maybe it was about an hour, about 45 minutes, maybe, I don't know. And then I thought, wow, maybe she can heal him a little bit, And then he didn't say anything. Neither of them said anything negative to me, and he left and didn't say anything to me. And she said, "Oh, I just saw my old friend I hadn't seen in 2 years." And she said, "Do you know him?" And I said, "Well, I lived with him for 4 years, but I couldn't say I know him." So that's what the NPD is like. I mean, there's so many secrets, and you just don't know. So anyway, so I don't take it personally anymore. Again, this town, the entities, all the dark side hologram programs here are so profound, and I have no problem with this person, but they just don't want to interact with me at all. Maybe due to projection or fear. I don't know. I bring this guy up again because I feel that I myself, my physical body, my spirit, is a trigger to him, to the part of his narcissistic personality disorder that he can't face. It triggers him to have again, it's instant narcissistic mortification, but he's not willing to do it to really heal it. So he just can't interact with me. It's real sad because he has a really beautiful heart, uh, somewhere underneath the huge ego and a deeply spiritual side in there. And he's taught me a lot about consciousness, but I just can't. It's just sad. He won't interact with me at all. And whereas another example I have that's even more madly intense. One of my favorite spiritual teachers in the last 5 years was this woman, little full Italian woman. That when she was about the age I am now, she invited me over to her house and seemed like a really open, loving hippie. And I don't know if that was right after or before it happened, but her husband committed suicide, and he's a Jewish man. And she said he liked her because she knew how to make a lot of money. And anyway, to try to cope with that, she joined the Native American Peyote Church, and she said there was a black magician in there who put a spell on her, and she started getting really, really negative. And but also she always studies a handful of ancient mystical traditions, and I've had a wonderful time studying mystic traditions with her. But obviously that would extremely traumatize anyone a lot. So the daughter was coming to meet us to get food, and one day her oldest daughter, who identifies as a lesbian, I believe, and I noticed that intuitively when I first met her. And so I don't know why, but I was gonna put my arm around her or give her a hug, and she recoiled. And I've been I've been acquaintances with her for years. She's really smart, really into health, and talked with her for a long time. So when she recoiled, I could really feel the presence of one of these interdimensional entities that were causing her to get really upset. Is what I thought, And I was just when I really was getting into studying this, and she got real upset for about 10 minutes. Then she said, "I don't have any problem with you. Do you have any problem with me?" And I said, "No, no, no." But I cast out I acknowledged that it was an interdimensional entity, and I was kind of shaken because it was really intense. But I told her I felt that it wasn't her, and that I love and respect her, etc. And then I apologized if I offended her for trying to hug her. I think I tried to put my arm around her from behind, and it startled her, But so the following week, she came back and said a joke about what if the queen, kind of shifted their head and their reptile eyes, or the slit, or their head turned into a reptile's head. And it was an indicator that even though I'm sure she still identifies, and all that, I mean, she's still, I'm going through the intense process of, because they kicked her mom out and then brought her back in. So having her in there in the house with her all the time got to be intense. But when she made the joke about the reptilians the next week, it was so heartwarming for me, because it meant that she was willing to take a look at that possibility, that might be an issue, and that's really a huge step to healing that, again, this other guy, a lot of people can't even take. So learning to face the triggers is a huge, huge step in healing. But if you just get triggered and run away or get afraid or scream and yell or get mad, you're really being a child and not willing to think about how to heal it. While I was jotting down notes for this video, this is something I love about my new ritual of making YouTube Odyssey videos. The Holy Ghost, or my spirit guide, gave me this idea while I was jotting notes. So what you can do is, the next time somebody shoots you, pulls the trigger, okay, and they say a word like nigger, faggot, magic, or whatever it is, slave, Trump, you can use a Heyoka technique I made up, and instead of having a bullet hit you, make you explode with anger, you can make it into a paint gun and choose the color. So you can, instead of choosing to make it angry or red or whatever you think the color of anger is, you could choose to make yours as blue as the sky, or Krishna, as blue as Shiva, or as calm, whatever color makes you feel soothed, And imagine that when it triggers you, since you hadn't figured out how to get rid of the trigger, it causes you to become smooth and calm. You take a deep breath. And perhaps, again, this man, by simply admitting that he doesn't have the character skills, or he doesn't have the ability to face himself enough to even speak to me, he's, taking a kindergarten step in that direction. I don't know. But it's interesting. So you choose the color. If you're not willing to stop, I mean, if you can't learn, if you don't have the character skill to do this intensely hard work, shadow work, then maybe you can choose the color. While I was writing down these notes, I heard a hummingbird, and that actually triggered me a little bit. Why? Because the hummingbird is according to Jose Stevens, a PhD shaman, he was talking about how, or I'm not sure whether it was him, or I think it might have been Alberto Vallejo, another PhD Mexican shaman from here in California, in one of their books, maybe both of them, they're talking about how the hummingbird is one of the 4 power animals from South American shamans or Mexican shamans, and the reason why is, it's cool that they can sit there and float in midair. But no, why it haunted me slightly. It's part of my soul retrieval. It triggered a part of my soul retrieval that I have yet to do, which is the fact that I can leave, I can be free to go anywhere. The hummingbird is a power animal to the shamans because they can go with no food, with no map, without knowing where they're going to go. They can fly 800 to 1,000 miles with no clue how they're going to get there, besides flapping their wings, where the food's going to come from. And through knowing in my 20s the skill of dumpster diving and hitchhiking, and I say Daniel Suelo for precedent on this level. For if you want to really try a radical experiment in freedom, this man did it. He was working at a psych ward in San Francisco, and he quit. He lived without touching money for a few years, until the University of Colorado offered him a speaking position on how he did it. So the hummingbird can go 1,000 miles without knowing where it's going. And so you can learn to have the power, the personal power, to reclaim your personal power, to not be triggered. It's a lot of work sometimes, but you can do it, and I believe in you. You're willing to watch me, you can do it. God bless. Many blessings and one love to you all. And create a great one, my family.